Just doing this makes me feel so happy. I have a job list as long as my arm. Give it a little bit of spring yellow. I am about quality over quantity. Here comes the weather forecast update. There's only so far you can go with a spatula. Of course, it started to rain. I have had high levels of anxiety. Nature is back out. When it's bank holiday, what does it mean? Anyone know the name of it? They will be an absolute winner in your household. I needed to find a way. I don't think you can live slowly without noticing the seasons.
A look at the weather. Cloudy for most today, but rain in the east and southwest will spread to large parts of the country later, and some sunny spells for Northern Ireland, highs of 16 degrees.
Good morning and welcome back. I hope you are all well this week. You're at home, you've got yourselves a nice drink and you're ready to settle in, because today, I have to say, it's just about clearing up, but we woke up to the very first rainy day that we have had for what feels like absolutely weeks. Well, if you are anything like me, you will know the phrase, I have a job list as long as my arm, and I feel like that is something that I completely live by. I always feel like I have got too much to do and no time to do it in, and I feel that there are many of us that are like that. It almost feels like we're holding up an umbrella and there are these headings at the top, so you might have family and friends and work, home, fitness, garden. You may have other commitments, being a carer, having your own young children, having teenage children, all of these sort of headings. And then under these headings are subheadings of a million and one things to do. And you can often feel quite lost, or for me, sometimes overwhelmed with my umbrella of these headings. So to put it in some sort of context, if you are new to the channel, I have two different businesses. So I own a vintage dress company that is seasonally dressed on Etsy, and there's a lot of work that goes into that. I mean, it's a huge sort of umbrella's worth of bits and pieces for that business. And then I have my professional career. So I am a teacher by trade, sort of early years advisor and trainer. I work independently now for myself, and I have a business called Family Fun Phonics, and that business there is, again, there is a lot to it. I work with children and families and schools to help them improve early literacy, sort of reading, writing, and really build upon the foundations that they need for achieving in life. So that's that. And as you know, I now have YouTube, which is a slow living, seasonal, like lifestyle vlog. And those three headings just in themselves have all this sort of different subheadings. And then of course I've got social events and family and fitness and health and all these things. It feels like we are holding up an umbrella against everything so that we don't drown in what we are managing. Maybe I'm saying that sort of phrase because of the weather today, but that is how it feels, and I'm sure that lots of you can relate to that. But over the recent years, I am on a slow living and seasonal journey. I don't know if there ever is a destination of, where I'm going to get to at some point. Today is about sharing some of those slow living habits that I have, how I go about my day, particularly when I've got a lot going on, as we all have, but that I'm sort of carving out these moments, simple moments around the sort of mundane housework or the busy lifestyle or the work that I've got to do. And I thought today we would share some of those ideas together. So during today's vlog, please do give me any tips and tricks that you have. I'll share with you some of the ways that I like to embrace slow living and seasonal living. I feel that the word seasonal goes so well with slow living. I don't think you can live slowly without noticing the seasons. It's so unbelievably grounding, and I notice more and more each year, and you find that you are then sort of in a flow of movement throughout the time of year, which really does help. We're going to start off with creating a simmer pot, which is something that I love to do if I'm having a home day, as well as putting the radio on, as well as lighting a candle. If I know I'm going to be at home, maybe I've got a busy day of work ahead or I've got a housework day, I will very often create a simmer pot. I find that using scents, particularly different scents around the different times of year, really just helps me to sort of stay present, helps me to focus, and also just appreciate what is in my home. My home, my quiet home, is my peaceful space to be in, and I love to take care of it. And this is one of the things that I do before a hectic day. So this simmer pot is, let's say, a spring style simmer pot. I am using sort of uplifting bits and pieces. So fruits, I've got my orange, I've got a lemon. We're also going to use some fresh mint and some rosemary sprigs as well. So in our kitchen, we always have herbs. At the moment, they're over here. They always move around. I've got some rosemary. I have some mint. My mint is looking a bit sad, I have to say. It is often used for cooking and all sorts of different things that I'm doing, whether it's a simmer pot or new potatoes is my classic. New potatoes, minty new potatoes is the best, with lots of butter. It has to be lots of butter on your minty potatoes. But I have got over in my basket some fresh mint and some fresh rosemary that I picked up just at the supermarket. But you can see the difference of my used mint that's grown back to the fresh, healthy mint that you can pick up in every supermarket. I have heard that if you love mint and you want to grow it outside, do keep it in a pot, because if it goes into the soil, it will grow like wildfire and you will not be able to, or you will, in a lot of time and effort, get rid of it. If you love mint, don't put it in the garden unless you want a mint-filled garden. So I'm going to pop that back. Let's get back to the simmer pot. So I've talked so far about the lemon and the orange, fresh mint, fresh rosemary, and then I like to use like vanilla bean extract. I find that that works really, really well in a simmer pot. There's no sort of deep, rich, wintry scents. There's no cinnamon, there's no cloves today. You'll notice that the tones are very light and refreshing and uplifting, and honestly this takes no time at all. I'm obviously talking to you about it, which does take longer, but I can get this up and running in a couple of minutes in the morning because I have everything like this to hand. First job that we need to do is put some water into a simmer pot. I love my simmer pot. It's from IKEA, £45. I love it because for me, this pot is home. Most things that I cook will go into that pot, whether I'm making up a mixture for a fish pie, a pasta dish, a simmer pot. It pretty much is used every single day, and I would say it really is the heart of our kitchen. Is just, this means home to me. So £45 IKEA. If you are interested, I love the size of it as well. They do have a bigger one, which is probably too big for GB and I, but that size is perfect. We're going to start by putting some water in, and I wanted to show you something. You will all know how much I love visiting a charity shop, thrift shop. There's nothing more fun than going into a shop like that and not knowing what you're going to pick up. You can go in sometimes with a list of what you've got in mind. So I look for very sort of classic English style. If I'm looking for clothing, I'm always looking for cotton and good brands. So I do have sort of a tick list in my mind, but when it comes to homeware, you just never know what you're going to find. And I just love how they present everything as well. So let's show you what's in here. I could have picked this item up anywhere. I feel that it's worthy of either a craft fair or an independent shop, somewhere that you would find really, really good quality items. Come on, let's get this open and I can share this with you. And you'll see why I like it. I just feel that handmade stoneware is just so beautiful, and there's something very, very, I think the word is different. It's unique. I'm not going to find this anywhere else. It's handmade, it's stamped, and just love. I love it. Are you the same as me? Would you save this piece of tissue? I try and save as much as I can from packaging because it can definitely be reused or recycled in some way. It reminds me actually of growing up. Were you the same? Did your parents used to get the ironing board out and iron wrapping paper, Christmas paper, birthday paper, paper to be used again? Sometimes my mum would iron sort of wrapping paper and reuse it. But if it was something that maybe was incredibly ripped, as you know, being young children and you want to rip things open, she'd also try and make the best of it and then pop it into our craft box just with scissors and things like that, so we could make collages or we used to do all sorts of things as children with paper. But I will definitely keep that along with the bag, and they will go into sort of my recycling packaging area that I've got at home. Let's give this a good wash and then we're going to fill up the simmer pot with water. Markings on it are so beautiful. So you probably need about 3 sort of jugfuls of water. And once that's done, we can start filling up our pot ready to simmer away. So first of all, I'm going to pop in my orange. Even just having a cut orange or cut lemon, breathing in and just smelling it smells so, so good. Next, we're going to put in the rosemary and the mint. And because that mint really is sort of on the turn, I've used quite a bit of it. It smells so good. And then lastly, let's pop in just a few little drops of vanilla essence. Just a little bit. We'll get that simmering away. So when you put it on, you don't need to have it running and using electricity all day. No, definitely not. Just get it boiling to a boil and then turn it down, and that is where the simmer comes in. So we'll boil it up and then turn it off. I'm not going to keep mine on, it doesn't need to be, because the boiling water will just keep the home smelling fresh and beautiful for quite a few hours. And then later on in the morning, when I'm making myself a cup of coffee or making some lunch, I'll just turn it back on again, bring it back up to the boil and then turn it off. It's such a great way to keep your home smelling beautiful through natural products, nothing that's got any chemicals in, and it will just make you feel like you can cope with the day. I'm going to bring that right up to the boil, and just to bring it to the boil I am going to just pop the lid on just because it will be quicker to get that boiling away. I thought it might be useful just to sort of reconnect with what slow living isn't. And the reason why I'm saying it in that way, which is very unlike me because, as you know, I'm always very positive. So everything I say is always in a positive way. And I think that's probably sort of teaching background. But explaining what slow living isn't helps us to realise what it is. Slow living isn't doing things really slowly. It's definitely not that. It's more about doing things mindfully. Yesterday, I was doing my accounts, and as a self-employed person, you have to record your incomings, your outgoings, keep your receipts, and anything to do with your business. It is a day that I really, really, really do not enjoy doing. It's not natural to me. I'm not mathematical at all. I often find it a day that I almost dread. But if I think about it in a slow living way, so this is how I got through that yesterday. For me, a job in my work that has to be done, but that I hate doing it, and hate's a strong word, but I feel like it probably does match that topic. So getting up early definitely helps. If I can start early, I can finish early. Put the radio on again. You know that I often have the radio on. I made a drink and I sat in the main room, which is the room just behind the camera. I looked out at the arch window. I had a throw over me, feet up on the sofa. I had my receipts all on the table, my laptop, but everything facing the window. So I was very present with what was going on outside. I was very present with the weather changing, and I felt connected to being not just doing my accounts, but doing something that felt far more mindful. So I think I've mentioned there that slow living is not about slow motion or being lazy. Nothing to do with that. It's also not meaning that you need a tidy home all of the time. I do not have a tidy home all of the time. Oh my goodness me, if you spoke to my other half, you spoke to my sister or GB's sons who were around at the weekend, they would tell you that the home is not always tidy. Particularly at the weekends, I am very much, I'll get the home ready on a Friday, and then we live in it all weekend, and I just don't worry about stuff. I don't worry about what's on the side. I don't worry if there's washing up that needs doing. In fact, we will wait until Sunday quite often to get the home back right again for the week. And I truly believe that is what slow living is about. It is about using those moments in the day, in the week, that are important to you. I would say though that I have worked really hard on creating a home that I have things that I need in. Only what I need, not always what I want. For me, it really is about making use of the space, making my small home more livable. And the only way that I can do that is by having a very organised home and also not having a lot in it. Only the things that I need, what is important to the place that you live in. I think the last point I'll say on what slow living isn't, it's not about escaping reality. I love my very, very busy life. It's about being more mindful in the reality that you have and finding those moments to help you embrace each day in a more fulfilling way. So you may be wondering, where did slow living start for me? Well, it started around, I would say 7 years ago. For a period of my life, I have had high levels of anxiety, something that I've not really spoken about a lot on the channel. Actually, I don't think I've spoken about it at all, and it's not something for today to talk about. It may be something that I talk about in the future, but today really is about sort of moving forward in a very busy, hectic life and finding those sort of slow living moments throughout your day or throughout our days. But I do think it is important just to say that I didn't just one day wake up and say, right, everything that I'm going to do, I'm going to focus in on and, use my senses and really think about the seasons, and I'm going to do this activity mindfully or slowly. And I don't mean, slow it down. I just mean being more present. So I didn't wake up one day and feel like that. But I really was at the point where everything I was doing was a struggle, because my mind would wake up in the morning incredibly anxious from the word go, just being all consumed, let's say, by a brain that was telling me things that were not true, and a brain that I had trained to wake up and start the day in an anxious way. And I needed to find a way that I could get out of that state. So it didn't happen like suddenly overnight. I would say that the first beginning of slow living was when I started to, I've always loved walking, but when I started to tune into my walks and notice things, like notice the seasons. The sun this morning on my face, I'm really getting that vitamin D. The trees are being prepared, ready for the upcoming season. And just down a little lane near where we live, it's incredibly windy. If you can see how glorious the sun is. It doesn't feel as cold as I thought it would do. Finding that at the beginning really helped me, and I used to do that every single day at the start of the day, and I still try and go out every single morning and having a very mindful walk. What can I see? What can I hear? What can I smell? And that really was the gates opening for me of finding this new way of getting through the day without becoming very, very anxious. So that was the start of the journey, and then I'm still on the journey. I'm not there yet, and I'm not going to ever be there, I would say, because we all have goals, we all have things that we want to do, but it's just the way that I want to be in my life. I've 100% can say that it has reduced the amount of anxiety that I have.
There's a friction in my conscience. Am I too far gone? Does the good mean there must be something more? Bring me back
It's a little bit later on now. I've just had some toast for lunch. I've been busy doing some housework on and off camera. I've cleaned the sides, hoovered, I put some washing away, and I've tended to a few of the house plants. And whilst I was doing those things, I was thinking about sort of my theme of today, about slow living, intentional living, and how I go about doing my housework in a way that is more mindful. And you'll probably know this already, that we live here in this 2-bed apartment. It's relatively small. It's our home. It's our place that we love to be. We talk all the time about whether we should be moving, whether we are going to stay here. I think it's a conversation that lots of families have about what suits their needs at the time. And I'm not going to say that down the line we won't move, but at the same time, I would find it really, really difficult to say goodbye to this home. And intentionally living small has really helped GB and I just really focus in on, as I mentioned earlier, what we need, and helped us to reevaluate, really. If you can reevaluate what you have in your own home, which we have done over the years, it does definitely help mindset. One of the things, though, that I do find difficult is that I don't have an immediate garden. We have communal gardens, but I don't have my own. And if you saw the vlog from last Saturday when I was at my sister's, you will know I love being out in the garden. And I'm very, very blessed and lucky that Jane will say, come round, do as much or as little as you like. And it's a little bit like a retreat for me. It's just a lovely place to be. So that is over on the channel now. But obviously here I don't have that. And one of the reasons why I would love a garden is a simple one. It's to hang my washing out on the line. Something that, you know, brings back so many memories, doesn't it, from childhood, running around or using the sheets over the washing line as dens and camps. Not that I want to do that now as an adult, but I think there is something sort of magical about I'm looking up, like just imagining, you know, your mum putting out the washing on the line. And it's something that I always used to love role playing, that I was going to be a homemaker, and it's such an important job to look after that family home for the people that you love. So one of the things that I decided to do here in my apartment is have an indoor washing line. You'd probably seen me do this on a few different vlogs. I will either have the washing line up in the main room, and that will go from the arch window over to the entrance of that room. Sometimes I will have a washing line in the bedroom as well, depending on, you know, how much washing there is and what there is to do. But I gain great pleasure in opening the doors and letting that fresh air come in. It gives me that inside-outside living. You know what it's like when your washing is out on the line. The smell of the washing, everything about it being outside is just wonderful. And if you think about mindful moments, just putting the washing out, hearing birds sing, feeling the heat from the sun, or noticing a new plant in the garden, just, you know, creeping up, or daffodils are finished now, but tulips are very much out at the moment, and just seeing new buds appear and that sort of thing. So I decided that, well, I'm going to bring that inside. And it's one of the things that you comment on a lot. You do mention it in messages or comments. Some of you have tried it at home, and for me, it's a way that I embrace homemaking, and I try and do that with everything that I do. So when I put my washing away, I will really think about how to fold it neatly. My thoughts whilst I'm homemaking, feeling blessed really that I can do it. And some people may look at me and think, you know, why is she at 41 talking about homemaking? I should be out and, you know, being a career girl. Well, I am a career girl. I am very much a career girl. I have been a teacher for many years. I've been an advisor for the local authority. I work for myself. I have 2 businesses. I am a career girl, but there is nothing that I love more than showing my love and care for my home, my family, it all. You know, I love washing. I love washing. How silly does that sound, that I love washing? Who would ever think that anyone would love washing? But I do. I really enjoy sorting it out and giving the washing a good shake. I can honestly say that that is one of the pleasures that I love about pottering around the home. That when GB opens that drawer and he's got a new fresh t-shirt in there, that is me showing love and care, and particularly when the washing smells nice. We'll all remember being a child and having that school jumper over your head and you put your arms through and you breathe in mum's washing. There's just nothing like it, is there? Well, I'm looking out of the window. It's just gone lunchtime. It's cloudy, it's wet, but it's not raining. People are walking now without their hoods up and they're going about their days not looking like they're battling against any rain. So what I was thinking is we will take out the basket. Let me take out these herbs because we don't need these. I was thinking we'll take out the basket. I'll get my succotaurs or my snips and we will just go for a short spring walk and maybe just do a little bit of sort of foraging. I've got these tiny little spice jars and my sister gave me this one at the weekend. So quite often she will sort of propagate plants by using little jars. I mean, I'm somebody for collecting jars, but I think that being given one by a family member is just a little bit extra special because I said to her, I would like to just do a little bit of wildflower picking and that is what we're going to do. So let's head out. I'm going to probably get changed. I probably should put my raincoat on. I'll put my raincoat on, my Wellington boots on. We'll get the succotaurs, we'll go out, we will see if there's any little wild flowers out anywhere. Just get a few, obviously not a lot because I've only got a couple of spice jars and a tiny little jar. We'll come back and then I'm going to share with you a beautiful biscuit recipe that I love for this time of year. One of the things that GB and I are trying to do much more of is eat food that we prepare ourselves. So GB loves to cook. He made an amazing sauce yesterday for his chicken. I didn't have that. What did I have for my dinner? Oh, I had jacket potato and cheese yesterday. I haven't had jacket potato for such a long time. Oh, and butter. Don't forget the butter. Jacket potato, butter and cheese. I needed that yesterday after that day of accounts. Do you remember me saying to you earlier that yesterday was one of those days and I knew that I wanted something really comforting for dinner? So jacket potato, butter and cheese for me, and GB did himself some chicken and then he made up, he's very good at doing this, I must get him involved in some of the vlogs and some of his recipes that he makes up. He made this sauce for the chicken that was quite spicy, but it included cinnamon, and it sounds strange, doesn't it? But it was very, very, very good. So we're trying at home, if we can, to bake or cook ourselves, sort of moving our slow living really into our food. It does mean that I'm doing a lot more baking and just enjoying being in the kitchen. So I cannot wait to share with you just a very, very simple biscuit, but it's got a little bit of a spring twist. Let's blow out the candle so we're safe. Otherwise, I always worry, don't you? I always think, is the candle still lit? Let's go and get changed and we'll head out. It's lovely to be out after the rain. It's really nice to be outside. It's definitely not cold. Just heard a buzzy bee around. Nature is back out. Well, the birds are back out. They are singing happily away. I'm sure that they're super pleased that the rain has stopped. It's very, very green everywhere. We're currently in the apple orchard. It looks like we've got some new trees that are establishing well. Some of the apple trees have got some blossom on them. Let's go and take a closer look. Blossom on the apple trees there. Beautiful. Here's one of the new little trees being protected. Hopefully that will grow big and strong. That's what's really nice about the early spring, isn't it? Is that the vividness of the leaves when they first come through the bud. It's just a green like no other green, and then you notice as the season goes on into the summer and then of course into the autumn, the leaves get tired and they change colour. But now is when, if you are a hay fever person like I am, you really do struggle. I am definitely far worse in the spring than I am during the summer with hay fever. The apple orchard is really, really being so well looked after. You can see just there, all the way around the apple orchard, you can see that everywhere is being looked after. Living where we live, we're in a garden city, by the way, and living in a garden city, it just means that there is so much green around us, but we do also have the convenience of shops and convenience stores and supermarkets just literally 5 minutes away. But having this amount of green space is very, very special indeed, particularly for somebody who is so in tune with the seasons. This is one of the apple trees here, and you can see that the blossom is just starting to come out. Gorgeous, isn't it? You see the pigeon right at the top, middle of the screen. Look at the trees now. So many of them are green. Of course, it started to rain. Hood is up, but I'm having a very nice walk. I've collected a few little bits already for the little display that we're going to create in those glass jars. Let's continue to embrace the rain, enjoy it whilst it lasts, and then we can head home and make some yummy biscuits, hopefully to have one with a cup of coffee this afternoon. This honestly has been so dry. You'll probably remember how muddy it has been over the winter because I've needed to use those little slabs there to get through. But this goes to show just how little rain we've had. Hardly any. This has been an absolute mud pit over the winter. I don't think it knows what it wants to do. 1 minute it's rainy and the next it's not. Thank goodness I don't mind when it rains. We're back in from a beautiful spring walk, albeit a little bit short. The weather really is not on our side today. It is raining again now, but I did manage to pick up some wildflowers. I'm just going to very quickly pop them into those glass vases just to give them some water, and we can have a look at these later on. I'm wondering how many of these you will know by name. It'll be fascinating. Let's do a little wildflower quiz later on. it was so mindful just seeing what was along the hedgerow. There is so much about at the moment. We all know that going for walks is so good for us. But this is just another way to bring in a little bit of slow living. It reminds me a little bit of when we were in lockdown. Do you remember that, when we was all in lockdown? And whilst we were in lockdown, we were allowed to go out for our daily walk. And I think that during that time, it really did help to sort of embrace slow living in a way. I can't wait to show you these later on, and I wonder how many of these you know the names of. You don't need a lot to make a little posy either. And I haven't taken from anywhere that I shouldn't have done, and I haven't taken a lot. Just a few little bits just to make some very tiny posies. A lot of people would think that these are weeds, but they can look beautiful in a little vase. Just give my hands a super good clean because we've been outside, and then I'm going to share with you some amazing spring biscuits that you could try anytime, and you've probably got most of the ingredients at home because they are very simple indeed. Oh, soap smells lovely. There we go. The simmer pot is still producing a lot of uplifting and very calming scents. As soon as I walked in the door, I just said to myself, oh yeah, you've done a simmer pot today, and it smells so good. I know that when GB gets home, he'll know, and he'll be really delighted that I've had this on today. It just helps us to have a very calm evening where we relax and like prepare ourselves for the next day. Now, these biscuits are super simple. They are very light and very refreshing, I would say. And I think if you are looking for ways to help with slow living and you enjoy baking or cooking, it really is a way to help provide some good quality foods for the family that are not mass produced and they're not processed. You know what's in your own cooking, which is probably one of the reasons why I like to cook or like to bake, because I know what's in the ingredients. And I think if you try these biscuits, they will be an absolute winner in your household. So let me tell you about everything that we need. Today we're going to make some very simple, very spring-like lemon and rosemary biscuits, and we will need 150 grams of plain flour, 100 grams of unsalted softened butter, 50 grams of sugar. Caster sugar works really well for this. We will need the zest of a lemon and a few sprigs of rosemary. My rosemary is finishing, so it's a really good way just to use up the leftover good sprigs of rosemary before I repot to the new one. The first thing that we need to do is cream together the butter and the sugar. Are you someone who enjoys home baking yourself? And what sort of things do you make this time of year? One of the things that I'll probably make towards the end of the week is chocolate nests. I think we probably all made them as children, where you put the little eggs on the top. That just has to be done. I tend to use porridge oats actually rather than sort of cereal. It gives it a little bit more of a rustic feel to my nests. But today it's lemon and rosemary biscuits. So once your butter and your sugar has creamed together nice and thick, we'll add the flour. You may be somebody who sieves your flour. I'm not one of those people. So we're going to try and make a dough now. I'm going to get everything mould in together as a dough. I often add just a little pinch of salt to my biscuit recipe. There's only so far you can go with a spatula. I think it's time to get my hands in really. So we're just going to form a dough. So easy, this recipe. If you really do this intentionally, rather than thinking, oh, it's a chore to bake or it's a chore to make these things, so just thinking that you're providing sort of love and care, and some love and care for yourself as well. I tend to think these days more about how I enjoy the process of baking, how the dough feels, and just in amazement quite often about how the ingredients mix together to make something. It's definitely forming now. This would make such a great Easter gift for a friend or family member. There we go, my dough has formed. It's now time for the zest of the lemon and some rosemary. So the zest of the lemon is something that will just give it such a strong lemon taste, but not as strong as the lemon juice. I did wonder, why is it that we use the zest and not the lemon juice? And it's purely because the outside of the lemon is not as strong as the inside. You don't really want to go through the peel to the white area in your lemon because that can be quite bitter, with the peel being that lovely rich lemon colour. Oh, it just smells and looks so good. I'll show you this in a second. A very spring-like biscuit is on its way. Let's show you where we're up to now that we've got the lemon zest in here. And if this next image doesn't make you want to go and make these biscuits, then I'm really not sure what will. But I cannot wait for these to be cooked. They smell amazing already. All the lemon zest is inside. Look at it, doesn't it look very, very rich? And oh my goodness me, so, so delicious. Let's add the rosemary next. I'm just going to cut off just a few sprigs of rosemary, and then I'm going to share with you something that I use all the time when it comes to herbs. These are my herb scissors. So when you cut into your herbs, you get lots and lots of little snippets. Absolutely fabulous. Let's show you how these work. To avoid the stems here, just use the green. Wow, this looks amazing. Can't wait. Perfect. Okay, as you can see, I've decided to roll mine, and I'm going to cut mine into biscuit shapes. So down. That recipe has made 12 little biscuits. I'm going to pop them into a preheated oven, 160, for around 10 to 12 minutes. I'm going to keep a little eye on them. Then I need to do a very big tidy up. I wonder how many of the wildflowers you will recognise. I had to research, I think it may have been 2 or 3. I'll let you know which ones, but it'd be interesting to know how many you recognise. But we'll get the kitchen tidied up first of all. Here comes the weather forecast update, because you know what I'm like. I always give a weather forecast update, and it's not stopped raining. It is very much April showers today. They said it would be around lunchtime today when I had the weather forecast on. Did say that England, I'm really sorry to say this, are in for a cold spell. So we have had really nice weather in the UK, and I know that lots of you have. We really have had a great spring so far, but they've said, now it might be when you are watching this, because you'll see this on Saturday, don't blame me if the weather is miserable, because it said it will be by the weekend, and it's Easter weekend for us this weekend. So we've got a 4-day weekend, which we are all really looking forward to. But of course, when it's bank holiday, what does it mean? It means rain. Rain, rain, rain. Fingers crossed though, maybe it will come before then, and by the weekend it will warm up, who knows. How's the weather in your corner of the world? Have you found that it is spring? Have you had spring and then it's fallen back into winter? Do let me know. I absolutely love to hear about your corner of the world. I really feel like it is the only way that I can connect and understand what's going on where you are. So I love to hear things about the weather, about what you're up to in your garden, what home projects you've got going on. They're things that make me feel really connected to you. And it's just lovely to know what you are up to. So do keep me updated, please. Just in the middle of tidying up, but halfway, let's have a quick look at these biscuits. They look good. I'm not going to touch them, but they do look really, really good. I'm going to swap them over now. So they're on a different shelf. Just to make sure that the bake is equal. There we go. Now that we're on the last bit of the bake, I was umming and ahhing, but I think I am just going to drizzle a little bit of icing over those biscuits. I'm going to use some lemon. So just make sure there's no pips in there, take them out. Put my lemon in. That will just give the biscuits an extra lemony taste. Let's just mix this round. Just having a think about whether to use some icing, and then I started to wonder if I had any food colouring anywhere, and I remembered that I had pink food colouring left over from just some little Valentine's biscuits that I made. So I'm going to put the tiniest drop in here because I want it. Oh, very, very pale. Let's try that. This icing will just give those cakes just something a little bit extra, because after all, we are celebrating that it's spring, and this colour that I've made looks like the cherry blossom that we are all noticing at the moment. Let's check on those biscuits. Ooh. They smell very, very lemony. I think they are very nearly done. I don't want them to be overdone, but I want to give them maybe just a couple of minutes left. Spring cookies are ready to go. These are lemon and rosemary with a very watery pink icing on the top, and then a little bit of lemon peel. So how am I going to work this? I think it's probably best that I get the tray. We'll use this tray. A tray that I picked up in a charity shop for £2. Just very White Company vibes, and I love this tray. Sometimes I'll have it on the table in the living room, sometimes I'll pop a little cup of coffee on there, take it back to bed. Shall we have a go at these wildflowers? So the first one, I think you will all know what this is. So of course we have the garden daisy. I feel like you'll know what this one is as well. Of course it is the buttercup. Maybe this is a little bit harder. Of course, this is the primrose, Monty Don's favourite. And this one, this is the black thorn bush, and it's just started to bloom. I had to research this one myself. Anyone know the name of it? Red dead nettle. One that I did know, and we get a lot of it this way, cow's parsley. And the last one, any ideas? I didn't know the name of this one. It's a common comfrey. Well, I'm hoping that I've got all of those right. Let's fill up these little containers and just make some really pretty wildflower posies. Just grab my little snips. Where are they? Sometimes they're in the herbs. Oh, here they are. Perfect for little wildflowers. Let's start with the black thorn. A little bit in each. I love this one. It's just got the buds coming out now. You see how the buds are just beginning to come out. When I do things like this, I sort of just follow my heart really and my instinct. There's no right or wrong way when you are doing tiny little posies. It pretty much is just have fun. I think that cow's parsley's done actually. This is another strong budded one. Put that into there. Just doing this makes me feel so happy. Again, it's something for the family. GB does notice things like this. He often will say, oh, it looks like you've been busy today, or you've enjoyed what you've been doing. And it's just something so simple. I know I've got a busy day tomorrow just because I've not been full on working today. It's almost like a reset for the week ahead that I've got. As you know, I had a super busy day yesterday doing my accounts. There's still more to do. I'm nearly finished, but there's still more to do. But tomorrow is more a practical busy day with teaching and then my vintage dresses. But I know that when I look in the kitchen and I come through to make a cup of coffee, I'll know that I had a lovely time out in the rain with you, chit-chatting away, making these tiny little posies. I'm going to put the cow's parsley in because they really do like to be in water. If I bring them up nice and close, you can really see what I'm doing. I think they need a bit of colour. Shall we pop some of the absolutely beautiful buttercups in? Give it a little bit of spring yellow. Wow. Let's pop another buttercup in. I suppose that's the only thing that I do. I would try and sort of split them over so you've got roughly the same in each. Cow's parsley, which is this really delicate one here, is just so dainty, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful. I do have another primrose. There wasn't very many. There wasn't loads of primroses, enough for me to take more. I did manage to get just a couple. Beautiful. There is something so special about working with little wild flowers. Flowers that many people would say are weeds, but you can honestly make them look so, so pretty. I love to bring the outside in and bring the season in. And there is nothing like a little posy of spring blooms to have in your kitchen to celebrate the season. I think we're nearly done with these. 3 little posies are complete. Here is number 1, here is number 2, and I think this is probably my favourite one. And here is number 3. Aren't they just gorgeous? I don't know if this is my favourite one now. I love how the primrose is taking pride of place in that little vase. They do look really lovely grouped together. Or another way that I would probably display my little posy, have my tray, probably something like my napkin. You have to use your imagination here. A cup of coffee, a posy. Take the big one because I think it's my favourite. Balance that on there. A little bowl. Just put that down there. And then possibly a couple of little lemon and rosemary cookies. I think that in life, whatever our journey is, whether it's a career journey or a journey for fitness or something for your mind or a way to help you navigate the world, we're never going to be at that point all of the time. We are on a journey and there's always going to be next steps. There's always going to be things that we can think about or improve on. In here are two sort of areas that I really want to pick up, and they're sort of a symbol really of my next step, but also part of it. So let me show you what's in here, and hopefully I think you will completely see how these link in with what I've been talking about today. The first one is to complete my own recipe book. It's one of those recipe books that's empty and you can fill it out yourself. There's quite a lot around food and slow living, and that's definitely for another day. But lots of you will know I have my own recipes. I love to recipe share, and the recipes that quite often I know on the top of my head, or I'll need to message my sister to remind me of how to do something. And I've always wanted to have somewhere at home that I can just grab and look at with my own handwriting. I really want to take my time over this. I want to make it look neat. I want it to be something that GB can go to, because quite often if he's cooking, he will shout through and say, what do we need for the fish pie that we make? I want to have my own collection available in my kitchen that belongs to me. I talk a lot about being in that space. It's the heart of the home. It's a very, very small kitchen. It's a very small home, but it's a very small kitchen, and it's a place that I love to be. So having that collection of my own recipes, I think is really, really important. So good next step for me is to put my recipes down in my recipe book. GB bought me this for Christmas. I think it was from Sainsbury's, because I saw it in there. And I love it. I love the colour. I love everything about how this book feels. And I do not want it sitting empty. But there is a lot more to share with you about our slow living journey in relation to food. And I think GB would have great input in that as well. Next step number 2. I've got a lot of cottons and embroidery thread like these. And I used to embroider all the time. I would love to sit in the evening and sew flowers. One of my areas to work on is my downtime. I'm very good now at learning how to slow live in my day, in a normal working day, to get everything done, whether it be business or lunch or homemaking. But when it comes to relaxing in the evening, that's probably one of my biggest next steps. My attention span is not very strong, so I quite often get distracted. As soon as I sit down, I find things to do. Please tell me if you are the same. So I would struggle to relax. I can at the weekend. I'm talking more about the week. If there's washing that needs to go on, I'll quite often get up at 8 p.m. and go and put the washing on, putting the washing away, or cleaning the bathroom, or doing a job. So I've looked on Vinted and I found this beautiful embroidery pack. It's got 3 lots in here. So here is 1, here is number 2, and number 3 is a surprise. I paid £3 plus postage, and I just thought it would be a really nice way just to get back into embroidery really, and just see where it takes me. I haven't opened it yet. I want it to be nice and fresh for when I sit down and start. But do ask me about whether I've started this, because I feel that by incorporating something like this in my evening will really, really help with my own slow living journey. I have been looking forward to trying these biscuits since they came out the oven. So let's give these a little try. Wow, these were so quick and so easy, and they are honestly absolutely delicious. Thank you so much for spending another day with me. I really hope that you have enjoyed today's vlog and have seen just some of the slow living habits that I get up to in my day-to-day, week-to-week life. There is so much to slow living, and far more than I could fit into just one vlog. So I will be sure to share more slow living habits with you in the future. I'd love to hear from you and your slow living habits in your corner of the world. So drop a comment below or send me an Instagram DM or an email, however you normally get in touch. I would love to hear from you. See you again on Saturday. Bye for now. I'm going to have to have another biscuit.